the pulsating or the evaluating, if you would, of when the officers strike, and there's a movement back to see the effect of those strikes. And you see that during the entire incident, where there's a movement in on the suspect, and then there's a movement out. And that's an evaluation phase. And we teach something similar to that in the academy in services. When you do strike, you need to evaluate. And by seeing this pulsating in, pulsating out, it's my opinion that's what is occurring. You're getting an evaluation by the two officers that are utilizing the side-handle baton.
Asking the question there was Darrell Munger. He's the attorney representing Sergeant Stacy Kuhn. When Munger was finished, John Barnett took over. Barnett represents Ted Brasino. And if you didn't know better, you might think Barnett was conducting a cross-examination of Sergeant Duke, because Barnett's client, Brasino, is taking the position that he, Brasino, tried to stop the other officers from using what Brasino described as excessive force. At least that's Barnett's description of what Brasino felt the morning of March 3rd, 1991. And Barnett questioned Sergeant Duke about when he, Duke, first saw the videotape, and Sergeant acknowledged that, yes, he was concerned when he first saw the tape about possibility of excessive use of force. But Duke testified later, when he understood what happened and studied the tape frame by frame and blow by blow, he came to the conclusion that the amount of force used was proper. In fact, Duke testified that the first blow struck by Officer Lawrence Powell was not a very powerful blow, was not struck properly, and he said might not have even left a mark or a bruise on Rodney King. And finally, under examination by John Barnett, I almost said cross-examination, Duke was asked if it was possible that he had made a mistake when he testified that that first blow by Officer Powell hit Rodney King in the chest or upper chest area instead of the head. And Duke answered, no, it's not possible. Chris?
Well, Dave, not only did John Barnett play a role in direct examination of Sergeant Duke, but John Barnett, a defense attorney, played a role in the admission of some evidence this morning. The jury was in the jury room, the prosecution wanting to put into evidence some pictures, blow-ups of photographs taken of Rodney King by a photographer hired by Rodney King's civil attorney. There was a long debate about that. John Barnett wanted those pictures in because they bolster his argument, or his client's argument, that the other officers were out of control and that he, Ted Brasino, was actually trying to stop them and stop what he saw as excessive force. Let's bring in our legal analyst of the day, Marcia Morrissey, and get her view of John Barnett, sort of ironically being the first attorney to use the pictures that the prosecution had moved to get in.
That's correct. And what's interesting about those pictures is they open up a whole area of cross-examination for the defense in the case, because Judge Weisberg ruled that the prosecution is going to have to lay a foundation for those photographs before the jury. And to do that outside the jury's presence, they called Mr. King's civil attorney, Stephen Lerman, to testify about how the photographs were made. And that having been done, the defense is, I expect, going to try and cross-examine Mr. Lerman about the civil suit, about his hopes of prevailing, and about the amount of money he hopes to get, about how the pictures might have been staged to maximize the injury to Mr. King. And it should prove interesting once that foundation is finally...
White, as you said, cross